All right, everybody, back with another one. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the recent Epstein files release again. Another edition of the Epstein files were released. This time, I think they're either up to 3 million files or documents altogether, or it was an additional release of 3 million. But whatever it was, it's a significant amount of documents that was released. Um, I don't think anybody's gotten through all of them at this point because there's just so many documents. It would take, massive team of people to be able to get through that in one shot. And it would take, weeks, no matter how big a team you had, just to be able to like go through everything, double check everything, notate things. Also, there's still a lot of redacted things. So trying to figure out the, writing between the lines, all that stuff would take weeks and weeks and weeks. So I don't think anybody really has gotten to the bottom of everything, but there were a few key takeaways from this recent release that people are talking about now, as well as the hearing with Pam Bondi at congressional hearing, where she was basically put on the stand to testify against some of this stuff, explain herself to Congress. Um, there's a lot going on here, and we're definitely going to look at it today in depth to a degree. We're going to dig a little deeper into some stuff today, and we're also going to have a little fun today and do some cool searching of the files because there's just so many files you really can't search. You really can't go through all of them. Um, you know, Even in 1 or 10 podcast episodes, it would take, a year's worth of episodes to really, go through everything and discuss it on this platform. But we're gonna have a little fun today. We're gonna do some searching with a search feature and try and, see if we could pull up some interesting documents. Hopefully everything cooperates tech-wise, but we're gonna do our best. We have, everything set in a way where hopefully we won't have too many technical difficulties, but, we're in the process of continuing to upgrade our equipment. I've already upgraded the camera, some of the audio stuff and, some other things as well. There's the background, the studio itself, podcast studio. We've got, my Bible back here, our trusted background decor. We got this brand new addition, this fake plant here, just to give a little green to the black background. That's just sort of the industry standard today is everybody has to have a plant in their background. So, we got that too, something a little different. We got a little red light here, putting that on every once in a while. I did that last episode. I actually turned it on to show how red it gets. That was just really more to talk about some of the health stuff and that we promote on our Amazon storefront. And you can find a lot of products there if you're looking for, things for health, things for, daily life, kitchen utensils or things for children. It's a lot of the stuff that we promote is on our Amazon storefront. It's just like an affiliate program, like everybody does that stuff, but we actually, only put stuff in our store that we actually like or recommend. And we also have our apparel shop if you wanted to support the podcast. That's a exclusive website for our apparel that we designed exclusively in-house. You can actually buy a lot of that all that stuff on that platform, Healthy Body Good Soul store healthybodygoodssoul.com, and the links are in the show notes and all that stuff. You can find all that stuff there. We're actually getting our website together, so within the next few months we're going to have our website launched. The goal is to basically have everything from all the different platforms in one place, accessible on a one-page website, so that you could, find everything that has to do with the podcast, a easy, convenient one link, try and get rid of, the whole link, multi-link thing where, everybody has it in their bios on their social media, and it's like 1,000 links. We have a bunch of them too. We're gonna try and put it all in one place, so we're building that website now. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but, we're getting there. We have a lot of, goals for this year. We're gonna definitely see to that majority of them are accomplished by the end of the year, if not, all of them. And, you can help us do that by supporting the channel, supporting the podcast by, buying products from the the Amazon storefront and the Healthy Body Good Soul apparel shop. This just, really helps support us and also any type of charity organizations that we're involved with. Percentage of the profits from the Healthy Body Good Soul store go to the charities that we're involved with, and we're always looking for additional, charitable organizations that are legitimate. We're not just giving our money to, the big charities that everybody does that you really don't know where they're going, and a large percentage of it is going to, nonsense costs, and very little of it makes it to the end result or person that they're trying to help with the charity and the donations. So, we work with charities that we really believe in, where the majority, if not all, of the proceeds go to the actual end result person, end result customer that's, going through that situation that needs donations. One of which you could actually look at is company called Charity Water. They go and we don't get any money from them. We're not affiliated with them. We literally just donate to them from the proceeds from, the income we make from some of these things that we promote here. 100% of the donations from their donators go right to the people being affected by what they're trying to solve is water crisis, where not everybody in the world, especially third world countries, has access to clean water. So they basically go and build wells and build them in all different places. They build them in villages. They build them in, all different types of, really just undeveloped land in other countries outside of the United States, to my knowledge, and they've done it with tons and tons of them so far. They've been around for, several years now. They've built a lot of wells. They brought people clean water, and the reason that's such an important thing is because, believe it or not, there's 2 indicators of a civilization being built up in the modern day, and that's whether or not you live near a, um, highway, and especially the entrance of a highway. You can actually look at this on maps, time lapse maps over time. You'll see populations grow specifically right outside of where highway exits are, throughout the country, because people will live and buy homes, and businesses will come in and build businesses right by there. Gas stations come in, all that stuff, and it helps build the economy in those local areas, and towns get built and eventually cities just from where highways are. And the second one, which is actually number one, is where there's water. So if you look all throughout the world, anywhere there's access to clean water, civilizations grow and they flourish. And you'll see this over time where people will literally, start out as just a few people living in that area. And then eventually it'll turn into a little bit of a community, then a town, and then like a borough, like a smaller city, a borough, and then eventually a city. And this is how populations grow and expand. And this is why all of the major locations in the United States, where the people who first came to this country, the pioneers, they settled in areas near water. Even when it was like detrimental to their safety and health, because back then they didn't have homes yet. So the temperatures would be freezing and it's even colder near the water, and people would literally die from the cold. But they lived near the water and built their civilizations near the water because that's what you do. You need access to clean water, even if it's ocean water. You can filter it and sterilize it and kill off anything bacteria or the salt and make it drinkable and usable. And they did this with all the major cities that we, we know as cities today, which weren't cities back in the day. New York, Boston, Maryland, the DC area over there, all of the major cities that are on the East Coast that are cities today are all there because they were near water, and the people went and built, the civilization flourished because of that. So that's just a long-winded, answer or pitch on that is just, going the donations that we, the money that we receive from the proceeds uh for people, supporting the podcast, a percentage of that does go to charities that are doing good things, that are actually getting the money to the end result customer. And we do that with several different charities, but we're always looking to expand. So if you ever recommend a really, really good one that we can vet and see that they're legitimate and the money's going to the right cause, let us know. Put it in the comments, share it with us privately if you want to. We're open to, hearing about that because we like to support, even if we don't send the money, just, promoting them, supporting their work, getting the message out there, something we like to do. And then the last thing is, my children's book, which we always do, is just promoting that. Also, you can buy that on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Walmart, all of the major platforms, but we also have it in a lot of bookstores throughout the country, so check out my Instagram, page about which bookstores it's in the physical bookstore, where you can go to get the physical book rather, and if it's near you, if near you where you physically live, we highly recommend, go support a local business. Go and actually, buy the book from their bookstore off the shelf. That way you can help support us and also that local business because that really used to be the backbone of America. It still kind of is, but it definitely needs to make a resurgence because, the times are really changing and corporations are swallowing up all of the business in America. Before you know it, it's going to be hard for the average American to even have a business and compete with these massive giants. So, support your local businesses if you want to see them continue to flourish in the future. But this is the book, Little Boy Full of Love. As always, the ISBN on the back, so it's a legitimate book, has an ISBN number, the publisher, and there's my picture. It's a great book, children's book, wrote it for my son, and it's got a wonderful life lessons in it, really nice read, and it makes for a great gift. We just got through Valentine's Day, so it's probably a little too late for that, but Easter's coming up. If you want to get a gift for somebody that has a child, Easter's a great holiday to get this book for somebody who has a kid that wants to give something that's a nice wholesome message to them. Anyway, that is the promo, the pitch in the beginning that we do. Now we're going to jump into the episode and we're actually going to have joining us our special guest Anthony Volpe, who's back again to talk about the Epstein files. And we're going to jump into that now.
Officer Rob,
Yeah, right.
you look like a
And
1970s cop on the cover.
well, my father-in-law comes over, her parents came up. And the first thing he said to me was, he didn't even say it to me, he said it to his wife. He goes, "He has a mustache now." But he said it in a way like, "You believe this? You believe this?"
That's so funny. I love when they talk about you right in front of you, not to you, but to somebody else. Obviously, not in a bad way. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that in a
yeah.
bad way, but it's
No,
just
it's I
look
yeah,
at this kid. He's got a fucking mustache now.
yeah, literally, that's what it was like. It's like, "You kidding me?"
Oh, that's too
Um,
funny, man.
so what I wanna do is welcome, Anthony Volpe, our special guest again. I wanna I want to talk about the Epstein file release again recently. I want to talk about, um, you know, we don't have to go so in depth. I just kind of want to go over a couple of key highlights that I saw, and then we'll go over some of the stuff that you saw as well. Um, but I want to jump into this. I want to do something cool this episode where it's a little different because I think there was a recent release of either they're up to 3 million documents now, or they
Yeah.
recently released 3 million documents, but whatever it is, it's an ungodly number. Like no one can get through it in one shot. You need a team of people. You would need a team of people and you would need people working around the clock to be able to like get through all this stuff. So we're never going to be able to like
Oh,
get to the
insane,
bottom.
brother.
Yeah, we're never going to be able to get to the bottom of it in 1 or 10 or 20 podcast episodes. But what I want to do is I I'm gonna go in a minute. We'll open first. I'll let you say some stuff, but we're gonna go to take a look at the Department of Justice website, and we're gonna actually use the search feature to whatever that is. Turn off the sound if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, man. That is yep, done.
Okay. So we're going to take a look at the search feature on the Department of Justice website, specifically allowing us to search the Epstein files and then click on whatever we find and pull it up live and read it and see if we discover
Very cool.
anything interesting. So we'll get into that in a minute. And I want to do it early because I'm afraid we might have tech issues and I don't want the podcast to drop out. So we'll do that in literally a minute. But I want you to
That's fine.
open with anything that you wanted to start with.
Well, let's see. I think it's going to be an interesting episode, man. Especially covering the Epstein files. Everything going on. 3 million documents have dropped. I think it was last week.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting covering some of this stuff tonight.
Yeah. And they're just to preface it, they're still redacted. They're just less redacted. So there's a
Yep.
lot of files that still, I mean, we've been through this dump how many times? 3, 4, 5 times, and they still have not redacted everything.
No, they haven't,
Which
and I
by
don't
the
think they
way
ever will. Honestly.
which, by the way, there's some stuff that they shouldn't redact. Like, we don't need the public, I think, because sometimes we're living in a very conspiratorial world where everybody on social media thinks that it's their right to know every single thing about what goes on in every part of the world, about everybody's business, and they deserve to know because they want to. We've almost gotten to this weird entitlement phase where, like, millennials especially were the most entitled generation because we were the first ones to actually be entitled. But, like,
Very true.
we're at this weird place now where, you know, our generation and now Gen Z is even picking up this bad habit where everybody thinks they're entitled to everything. Like, anything that goes on in the world, they think they deserve to know just because. And it's like, whatever happened to when we were growing up? There was the old adage of mind your own business, you know?
Oh God, I still live my life by that. By the way,
Me too.
I still live my life by that, man. I mean, obviously, if I'm walking down the street and I see something that I shouldn't see, that's completely crazy. I'm not gonna mind my business. I'm gonna step up and say something. But
Right.
for the most part, man, hey, man, I see somebody getting offended, Bennett, and I'm right there. I didn't see nothing. I keep going. it's,
Or
it's like if no one's hurt,
like you're in a store and a mom's scolding her kid, like, it's none of your business. Mind your
it's none of
business.
your
Not everybody
business.
has to have an opinion about everything, you know?
Well, it's fun. It's funny you say that because quick. I know it's totally off topic. We were walking around today, and there was a little kid throwing a fit, and the mom turned around and looked at him and said, "You have two choices. You either shut your mouth now, or I'm bringing you back to the car, and we're getting out of here." And I looked at Marina, my girl, and I was like, "Oh, I love that, man. You don't see parenting. You do not see parenting like that anymore."
I know. It's been That's a whole other topic we're definitely gonna
Yep.
go into another day because I have a massive amount to say about that with today's
Oh, me
parents.
too, man.
It's,
Me
like,
too. We could
unbelievable,
talk
but
for hours about
yeah.
that. That's for absolute sure.
Well, we'll put a pin in that.
Definitely.
I'm gonna go over we're gonna jump onto the other thing now and take a look at that, just get it, going, see if the tech is gonna hold up, and if not,
Sure.
I have a plan B, but we'll do that now. I'm gonna go through a few bullet points, and then we'll take a look at some files, and then I think we'll probably just finish up with, what we wanna talk about the whole thing. So let me see if I can do that now.
I'll tell you, man, this Epstein thing is everywhere too. Everywhere.
Yeah, it really is. So this one is 337. Okay, just bear with me here.
Yeah. Oh, take your time, man. I like how we both have the brick backgrounds, by the way.
I know, right? Well, the thing is yours is actually real, mine's just a backdrop.
Yeah. Mine's a chimney going right through the center of my master bedroom.
Exactly, which is pretty cool, by the way.
It is. It adds character to the house, man.
It does. Alright, so it's setting up now, let's see. Now let me know if you can see what I see.
Sure.
So just give it a
So,
minute
yep.
to load on.
That's what it looks like it's doing right now. It looks like it's loading up. Yep, I can see it. It's very small on my end. Like I literally can't read it, but I could see the file. Is there a way I could zoom and make it bigger? Let's see.
I did
Yeah,
already.
I guess I can. I can make it a little bit bigger. Oh, okay. Yep. That's perfect.
Alright, can you read that first sentence right here?
Yes, I can. Is this a Joe Rogan? There she is wearing a push-up bra and skirt. Yeah, it's tough, but I can read it. Yep.
Okay, so check it out. And I'm gonna talk about this in a second, but I wanna lay it out so that there's context. So this is an email from Jeffrey Epstein back in 2009, so, like, 15 plus years ago.
Yep.
And in it is Joe Rogan mentioned, which, by the way, for 2009, that was a long time ago. That was when he was really not even close to where he is today, right?
Oh yeah,
So
no, not even close.
all it says is, is this a Joe Rogan? There she is wearing a push-up bra and a skirt as wide as toilet paper, complaining that men are always looking at her as a sex object. And then, like, "Are you naked?" Like, whoever the hell he's talking to. He's, doing like talking like perverted stuff. I resent it. I'm sitting here in a chair, keep staring at my boobs. So it's like some sort of weird sexting email thing. Um, but what's interesting about that is, uh, Joe Rogan was mentioned in that email, right? So what happens is now it goes down in history as Joe Rogan is part of the Epstein files, even though
Yes.
he has nothing to do with it, even though he never communicated with Epstein, as far as we can tell from these documents, and as far as he said on his podcast. But just because his name is in the files, he's now part of the Epstein, uh, conspiracy, right?
Which is unbelievable.
So here's the takeaway with that, right? There's so many people getting crazy about what's in the files, if people are mentioned in the files, and if you're mentioned in the files, you're automatically being lumped in as guilty, like you're an accomplice with Epstein and you somehow were, molesting kids or something. And that goes for
Absolutely.
anybody, right? And this is the part of the internet and society today that we need to get away from, because it's actually ruining everything that's going on with this stuff. Is there's so many people that are just waiting and ready to go to point fingers and blame and, accuse people of stuff that they didn't do. If they could just find one loose connection, they're willing to throw that person under the bus and totally change the way they look at them. And it's just
Yep.
this weird thing. There's so many people that are mentioned in these files just because it's like a casual conversation. Like if Jeffrey Epstein writes an email and said, "Hey, I just found out about this new podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience," that is now part of the Epstein files and gets
Yep.
released to the public as though Joe Rogan's in the files. And now he's part of that conspiracy. So my question
Well,
to you is,
all the people see is all they see is Joe Rogan's name and then Epstein files, and they just automatically, oh my god, you know what I mean? People get
yeah,
crazy and they start piecing things together in their head that isn't true. Like with the whole Trump and Epstein thing too. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but it's just another perfect example.
yeah. So that's my question. Um, are Number one is, was the public even ready for this release? Because of the way that they're responding and acting to it, kind of shows that yes and no. Some people are, but some people are so immature. Even if you got all this information, they would almost just like accept it the wrong way, and it
Sure.
would like backfire. But
And
my real question is, what do you think about people who are up in arms about anybody who's in the files, even if it's something innocent like this where he couldn't control that, his name's in there just because somebody had said his name. What do you do about that?
it really is a tough one, and I think personally, given the current political atmosphere in this country and the divide that is going on right now, I don't think it may have been the best time to drop these files. You know what I mean? Because
Interesting.
it's just
Why is that?
it's
Expand on that.
meaning, the liberal Democrats and how insanely sick in the head they are about Trump and how they hate him and they hate the Republicans and they hate this and they hate that and they're just starting to put all this BS together just because a name happens to pop up. And it's just such a political divide in this country that I think that the left is looking for any excuse to come after the right, vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. Any excuse to
Yeah.
go after the left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. Yeah, there is
That's
this
just what I see in my personal experience, you know?
yeah, and there is this funny thing because it's this weird situation where you got, like, the Democrats in Congress acting one way, but then behind the scenes is the opposite. Like, for example,
100%.
Pam Bondi was doing that whole, congressional hearing where she had to
Yes.
answer to Congress about the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and the Democrats are, like, yelling at her, saying, like,
Yeah.
"Trump's in there, you've been covering up for him," which, by the way, she has, um, but he's not in there in the sense that they're claiming, like, as though he's an accomplice, he was doing things. None of that's been found in there. It's just his name's in there a lot because he was like a big influential entrepreneur. He was a businessman. He met tons of
Sure.
people. Even if he wasn't best friends hanging out with Epstein on his island, if he was at a meeting with another businessman, and that businessman brought Epstein. He's now in the files just because of that, right? You know?
100%.
So
100%.
it's funny because the Democrats are like jumping at her, but then when you look at the files, there's a lot of Democrats that are in the files
Oh, yeah.
that are guilty, like that are actually clients of Jeffrey Epstein. Whether that means
That
they're his financial clients, whether it means they're his clients for this whole child trafficking operation. Either way, they're in the files in a really bad light, right? So why are the Democrats in the public eye acting like Trump and the Republicans are part of this conspiracy? And the Republicans are doing the same thing on the other side about the Democrats. It's like both of them are pointing at each other.
yeah.
Meanwhile, elements of each are guilty. Like, what is that?
Well, what do we got coming up too? You know, we got the midterm elections coming up, and that's also a big part of it. You know what I mean? And let me just touch on that congressional hearing real quick.
Yeah,
Um, that was kind of a shit show of a hearing, if you ask me, in my opinion.
me too.
I watched bits and pieces of it, and it was a screaming match back and forth, and I'm not against Bondi, but I mean, like, she didn't really represent herself the greatest either.
I totally agree. I was literally thinking that when I watched it.
You know, I'm sitting here and I'm like, and I'm watching it, and they're questioning her. And listen, they were coming at her ridiculously, and I'm gonna admit that, screaming and yelling, and then she's bringing up, you know, stock market numbers and trying to change the subject right away, and I'm like, something's not sitting right here with me with her, and just the way she was representing herself in that entire hearing, it was very off, in my opinion.
And if
I
you
don't think
notice,
she was ready for the release.
yeah, even though she was the one who did it. And if
I
you
know.
noticed,
I know.
there were times, if you've seen them, there were times where, she was doing that politician thing, where they would ask her a direct question, the Democrats, which, by the way, they rightfully had a good question, and she would respond with some Trumpism thing where like Trump does this, where he'd be like, "Oh, that's nonsense. By the way, you're just doing this because 'cause you're trying to ruin the economy and the stock market and this and that."
Yep,
It's like, you're deflecting from the question. If you're not
100%.
if you're not doing something you shouldn't be doing, like, even if Trump's not guilty on the Epstein stuff with the child trafficking, which, by the way, there's no evidence of that. So
No, there's not.
at this point, he's not guilty of that. But even if, you know, he's not guilty of that, if you're still covering up for something else or whatever it is, you're still not doing the right thing. And that's gonna come out in these hearings like it did, because they're gonna ask you direct questions. If you can't answer the question directly, then you have something to hide, you know?
Totally agree. I totally 100% agree.
Yeah. So we're gonna do another one. We'll take a look at this because this is actually this is kind of what we're talking about right now. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So this is perfect. So we'll read this one now. Let me see if I could switch it without messing up the thing, so we don't have to do it all over again. All right. Let me know if you can still see it.
Yep, I'm up. I can see you're on the homepage right now,
Okay.
verifying you're 18 years of age or older.
Which all you do is click a button and they go, okay, I guess you
I
are.
know. All right, I guess you're 18. Beautiful.
So check this out. So now this is from an email chain. I don't think it's with Epstein, but you can't tell because they still redacted this. And
Yep.
you still have these big redactions. But what I'm looking at here is this is probably an image of something explicit that they don't want out there. Which, by the way, this goes
Sure.
back to the whole mind your own business thing I was talking about. There are certain files that should never be redacted. Like if there's children in inappropriate situations, that should never be public information. That should never be.
Absolutely not.
If there's,
Absolutely not.
and it doesn't even need to be that way for adults either. Like, if there's, let's just say hypothetically, some big politician, a picture of them being intimate with anybody, even if it's an adult, we don't need that information out there. Nobody needs
No,
to
we
see
don't.
an image of that. That's just pornography, you know?
It is. It is, and it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary for the public to view. You know what I mean? I don't.
I think some of the public wants to see that because they're so hell bent on, we need to know every single thing. And there's also this weird creepiness that, like, you know, some of them want to see the craziest stuff just to be able to be like, "Yeah, see, I told you," but then you're also looking at the same crap you're accusing these creeps of looking at. So it's this weird thing, like, just be okay
Totally.
with not seeing it, you know what I mean?
1000%. And I'll tell you, in my experience, I don't care to see any of that BS. I really don't.
Yeah, me too.
I
I can
want to
just
see
read the
people go
files.
down. I want to see people go down. I want to see
Me
people
too.
held responsible, but I do
Me too.
not need to see the pictures and the evidence and stuff. I have no interest whatsoever of seeing children in situations like that at
Yeah,
all.
or even adults, to be honest. So let's
No.
read this. This is something else. A senator says AG Bondi instructed FBI agents to flag Epstein files that mentioned Trump. And then basically it just goes on to say that she told FBI agents working round the clock, I think like 1,000 agents working on 100 plus thousand documents, working round the clock, 24 hours a day in shifts, going through all the files before they release them each time and flagging anything that mentioned Trump to be put aside until they could go through it and see what needed to be redacted. So uh, I can understand why certain people with the Democrats or independents, libertarians, whoever it is, believes that maybe this guy, Trump, President Trump, is involved in this trafficking end of this. And here's why I think that that's not true. I think it's not true because number one, there's no evidence that came out that shows he was. And by the way, if there was, the Democrats would have used it several major times in the past to
Oh,
be able
absolutely, man.
like, they were, I'm not gonna allegedly, I'm not gonna pin them, but somebody was willing to try and murder this guy on multiple occasions. If you're willing to go all the way to the length of murder, which, you're murdering a former or, uh, uh, to be president, the penalties are far worse than life in prison. You're probably gonna get the death penalty. You're
Oh,
probably gonna get
100%.
executed. If you're willing to go that far to take this person out from not being the president, you're going to release Epstein files about him to ruin his reputation and take him out before you have to get to that point of killing him, right? So if there was something there, somebody on the opposing side of Trump would have already released it to discredit him, ruin his name, ruin his reputation, get him out of their way, you know? So I don't think there's anything in there for that. What I
And
do
this would have happened years ago too.
Yeah, way, way long ago. What I do think is they're probably redacting, um, some of the conversations or situations that his friends were in that he's covering up for them, and his stuff is probably mentioned with it, that cover up or whatever it is, and they're redacting that because they don't Trump doesn't want that released to the public where it shows that he's covering up for his friends who were working with him because they might not have done anything specifically, illegal or bad with children, but just the situations are so, wrong that they're associating with Epstein that he's covering up for them and they're redacting that cover up. What's your take on that? Is Pam Bondi and the FBI and the government redacting stuff related to Trump in these files to protect Trump or to protect him from protecting his friends? Like what's your take?
I don't think it's to protect Trump necessarily. I think again, it all boils down to the current political atmosphere of this country. The way people are up in arms against Trump and stuff like that. I also don't think it was a good look that they did what they did. You know what I mean? They should have went through. They should have saw that. And obviously Trump cut ties with Epstein a very, very long time ago when he just kind of found out the type of person that he was, and he didn't
Mhm.
want to be around him, and he wanted nothing to do with him. I think that it's more of protecting big names that are tied to Trump than it's protecting Trump.
Yeah, me too.
And again, throughout this whole process of the files, I do not think that Pam Bondi has done a good job with any of it.
No, me neither.
And I hate to say it because she's part of the Trump administration, and I happen to be a very big Trump supporter, but Pam Bondi's not doing what she should be doing.
And um, it sucks because this could be the thing that burns Trump's reputation, where
100%.
even though he's not involved and didn't do anything wrong, this whole embarrassment of how they did the files, how they handled them, how they released them, how they've been obviously covering up for certain things. And you got Pam Bondi in on it, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino. He resigned. Now he's back doing his
Okay,
podcast.
that's
You have
right.
all these people that came in with good intentions to do good work, and that was all foiled. Each of them
Oh,
could have
Cash
done
Patel,
great.
don't even get me started on Patel. Don't even
Yeah,
get
but
me
that was
started on
all
that man.
foiled because of this stupid Epstein thing. And if they
Yep,
would have just done the right thing and said, look, here's the files we can release, here's the files we can't because it has to do with children and we're not putting it out. We don't care what you say public. But we're gonna release this stuff. This is gonna hurt the economy. This is gonna hurt, some people that we know that we actually know and their acquaintances or their friends. But because the truth is the truth, we're gonna put it out there. Let the chips fall where they may. If they would have went that direction, yeah, it would have definitely been bad for certain people. It definitely would have hurt the economy. It definitely would have hurt, certain businesses and stuff and certain businesses that are affiliated with that. But you know what? It would have been like pulling off a Band-Aid. There's that pain
exactly.
in the beginning, but then it goes away, it works itself out. And then at least you could hold the people that are guilty accountable.
Yep.
But when they went about it like this,
Instead of
it just
now
burnt
trying to
everybody's
kind of
reputation
backtrack
because I
into
think
protecting your name.
yeah, I think now the public really lost a lot of respect for Pam Bondi, for Cash Patel, for Dan Bongino. I don't think his podcast is gonna have the numbers that it did in the past. I don't think he's gonna recover because of his reputation. Like, people
No,
clearly are upset with him that he looked like he covered this up with them. And even if somebody goes to you and says, "Hey, we're gonna kill you and your whole family if you squeal, so you're gonna have to look in the camera and tell your audience "Hey, sorry, but he was killed. I mean, he killed himself, and he wasn't murdered, and there's nothing here with these files. It's a big nothing." Like, even if they tell you that, you gotta go to a point where you say, "Look." Like, think about every movie or every hostage situation. What always happens? They say, "Oh, don't kill me and I'll cooperate." Okay, you cooperate, and then after you cooperate, they go, "Thanks," and they kill you anyway because they're
yep.
not gonna let you live. They gotta get rid of the evidence, right? It's the same situation. You can't you can't realistically think, like, "If I just keep my mouth shut, this isn't gonna come back to bite me and my family." Just tell the truth and let the chips fall where
100%.
they may. It's for the greater good of the world, you know?
Not to mention his whole running and campaign and everything he was promising was about dropping the Epstein files. And I think ripping that Band-Aid off, like you said, would have been the best move that that administration could have made.
Yeah, and I think the one of the main reasons why is because Trump's trying to rebuild the economy and be the president that goes down as, "Oh, I rebuilt the economy." And if he released these files, and there's a lot of businessmen, which clearly there are, heads of companies and stuff
Absolutely.
in this and tied to these things, it would probably really hurt the stock market because people would pull their money out of those company stocks. That would
Sure.
tank the economy, and then everybody would say, "Look, he's really not that good, financially as a president. He ruined the economy," and then it would like go down as burning his reputation. Whereas he might actually have gone down as the president that, for the first time, actually went into the government, got the secrets and shared it with the American people who were supposed to be the actual government. And then he might have went down as the president that was the most honest, noble president ever, even if the
And
economy tanked, you know?
that that's 100% how I thought it was gonna go down.
Mhm.
That was like when, he was running for presidency and all that, and he was saying, "I'm gonna drop the Epstein files, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and this administration's gonna have this and have that." I think they hurt themselves with how they released it, and with Pam Bondi really just not representing the whole situation well. It goes back to I love that saying about ripping the Band-Aid off because that's how it is. It only hurts once. Just pull it, man. Just let it happen.
And it does hurt, right? But here's the thing about money. It finds another path of resistance, right? At least resistance, right? Like water. If they pull
100%.
their money out of those stocks with those bad companies or those people that are tied to him, they're just gonna put it in another investment, right? So it's not like all of a sudden they're gonna pull it out and the economy's gonna tank and everybody's gonna be poor. They're just gonna reallocate those funds to something else that they believe in, that they think
Definitely.
those people are good people, that company's a good company. It's like you let the chips fall where they may is basically saying like, yeah, the people who are involved in bad stuff, those companies should tank. They should take a hit. They should go down. But the whole economy doesn't have to. People can just reallocate those funds into something else. And then it'll be a wash, you know?
Yep.
If anything, the economy might have done better if you released the files the right way, because people would have got out of the bad companies, those companies would have sunk down, and then their competitors who are good people, good
Would
companies,
have shot
decent
up.
people, might have shot up, you know?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that.
What's your take on Pam Bondi? Does she need to go? Does she need like, what needs to happen with her?
Oh boy. That's a tough one, man. Cause this whole Epstein thing was basically one of the biggest Trump administration things, you know what I mean? And I don't know if she necessarily needs to go. She needs to try and bounce back from the mistakes she's made, but yeah, she may have to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
I just don't think she did any type of a good job with this entire case. I don't.
yeah, and also, like, the way that she was acting during the congressional hearing, it was I get she was trying to do this whole Trump thing where, like, she and now everybody tries to do this thing where they try to be Trump. Don't be somebody else, be yourself, you know? She tries to
100%
be
be yourself.
yeah, like, she was trying to be Trumpish in the way that she was acting, where she was, like, calling people names and talking back to them and doing all this stuff. To me, Trump gets away with that because he's really good at it, but when other people try to copy him doing that, they come off really immature and unprofessional. What's
Oh,
your take on
100%.
that?
She looked stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly, when I saw her sitting there screaming and throwing her hands this way and throwing her hands that way and doing the things she was doing and saying the things she was saying, I was a little embarrassed actually. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me."
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's just like, "What are you doing right now?"
yep,
And I get it. And let me like I totally understand that she's got the pressure of the entire world on top of her shoulders with this Epstein case. I totally, totally, totally get it. But to go out there and act the way she acted and say the things she said and represent herself the way she represented herself, I don't think it was right.
exactly. And, just switching files here.
Yeah, no problem. There we go. That was
Yeah,
bothering me. I had a little black thing on my screen.
yeah. Yeah, no, I just think and I think most people just realize, like, this is probably gonna be one of the things that makes or breaks Trump's presidency is
Definitely.
how this whole thing is handled, and it's sad because, you could do 1,000 things right, and you do one thing wrong, and people remember the one thing you did wrong. There are
Well,
so many things that Trump did over the course of his presidencies, including 2016, that were game changers for the United States. Like, if he didn't get in, this country would absolutely have already fallen. Like, there's
oh,
no doubt
definitely.
if Hillary got in and won her 2 terms, that would've been the last election that was a free election for Americans, and it would've been over for this country for the rest of time unless we rebelled and had another revolution part 2. I mean,
I
that's
agree.
fact, you know?
Not to mention our economy would probably be tanked into the ground by now too. So
It would've because Trump came in at the end of Obama's term, and Obama's term was horrible. It literally brought down the economy, because he came out of the housing market crash in 2008 when he became president. That was the beginning of the housing market crash, the great global financial crisis, and literally 8 million people in America homeless and out of jobs and all this stuff, and
yep.
he came in, and he took that economy on. And he rode that thing down. It wasn't even his fault, but he rode it down for those 2 terms. By the time he was getting out, it just started to bounce back, and Trump rode that up, but he really did a lot to help it get up. But yeah, if Hillary got in, oh my god, forget it. We would have went from where Obama left, which was, like, at the bottom of the economy being horrible, to, even though it was starting to bounce back, it was still really bad. Um, she would have drove it even further. It would have been
We would have been into
America
a
would have been
depression.
we would have been in a depression, we would have been bankrupt, it would have been the, end of America as we know it.
Yes, it would have, and there would have been a hell of a lot more than just 8 million homeless people in this country. I'll tell you that right now.
Yep, and so, it was a godsend that Trump got in, and he did so many great things, but it's sad that, between the COVID situation and this, those 2 things might really burn his reputation, and
Which I
it's
think
sad
they were
for him
maybe
both.
meant to, you know?
Well, yeah, it's obviously an attack from the enemy, and when I say the enemy, I really mean the devil, like the evil in this world, going after the
Absolutely.
good, but also the people that carry that out. It's an attack from the enemy to, take down the progress he was making, and, but this also the Epstein thing is different than the COVID thing. The COVID thing was out of his control. He handled that as best as he felt he could, but that
True.
was thrown at him. The Epstein thing was a choice. He chose to go about this the way that he did, you know?
And that's something that they're gonna have to live with, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to, you reap what you sow.
Yeah,
How you handle situations is how people remember you. It's
yeah,
unfortunate, but it's the truth.
yeah.
Like you said, he did 100 things right. Even this term, he has done so much good, but this right here, just
I mean,
man,
he started out of the gates this second term, like, really good, like, doing great, and,
hot,
2025 was
hot, hot.
and 2025 was a rough year because of just everything, but he, put so many things in place that are, gonna make 2026 an amazing year financially for this country, and, we'll see how that turns out, but, um, it would be a shame if this thing, uh, you know, really just ruined all that he did, you know?
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully there's some kind of way of recuperating from this. You know what I mean? And I mean, I know more is yet to come. So I mean, we know that, but let's see.
Well, you know what it comes down to too is you can't play both sides of the fence, right? Like it's why in the Bible it says you can't serve two masters at once, right? If you're gonna do if you're gonna be on the side of good, you gotta stay on the side of good, no matter who is affected by it. And what he did was, and his team did was, they covered up for a bunch of people that were acquaintances or friends or whatever from burning their reputations. And that was the wrong thing because you chose those people over the American people who you're supposed to be serving, you know?
Exactly. And you're supposed to be representing, and those are the people that you promised that, you would swear to protect and uphold, and, you know, do all the right things. That was a bad move.
Yeah. And
That was bad.
again,
I wouldn't be protecting anybody. And no offense, but I don't give a shit who you were. If you were involved with that, guess what, man? I'm dropping. I came out. I said I was gonna do it. Here it is. Lay it all out on the table.
yeah. And you know what? The people who are involved that are his friends, yeah, he might burn his reputation with them. They might never want to speak to him again and hold a grudge or whatever, but they'll know that he did the right thing. They might not
Definitely.
like him, they might actually hate him, but they'll respect him because they'll know he did the right thing and he put the truth and the American people first, which is a noble act, and that's really what he shoulda did. You're gonna when I think because too, like, it's politics is this weird game where you gotta balance getting along with people and being friends with people or acquaintances so that, you could have them help you with favors in order to get things accomplished. But then at the same time, you really can't have any friends in politics because you're you're always supposed to choose the truth and doing what's right over everybody else. And sometimes that interferes with friendships.
And that's just the way it is, though, because and it's an unfortunate, cost of being in politics.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
whole idea is to be honest, to be open, and to do what's right and what's in the best interest of the American people, because these are the people that you serve and these are the people that you represent.
Yeah. 100%. All right. So let's take a look at this now. So this is a little backstory on Jeffrey Epstein because I think a lot of people don't know about him and they don't really know, you know, like, where did this guy come from? How did he even get to this point? Like, how does a guy get this much influence over so many people? So we're gonna take a look at a little backstory from what was in the files about him. Now, I don't really know like entirely what this is, but it was a document that was in there, and it's talking about the source of funds for the UBOs, which is the owners group for this uh, organization that he was with, and it talks about Jeffrey Epstein. So it says Epstein began his financial career in 1976 as an options trader, which is part of stocks and securities, being able to you know um, I don't wanna get into it, but basically it's just a form of selling, like, stocks and stuff, just a little bit deeper.
Sure.
And so he worked at a company called Bear Stearns, which if you know about Bear Stearns, they were one of the biggest failures with the 2008 financial crisis, because they had a bunch of, their products out there for the whole CDOs and stuff, which was basically what caused the mortgage crisis. These banks were lying about, not to get too complicated again, but lying about, um, the, you know, validity of the mortgages that they had been putting out there because they were rated like AAA and, they were like considered really solid and good, even though the numbers didn't show that. It showed people were defaulting on their mortgages, the loans and the rating and the mortgages and everything was supposed to be rated differently. And that, affected the economy because people were investing and betting on these things because of how strong and firm they looked on the outside, even though it was a
Sure.
big fraud, right? And so they got caught up in this. Lehman Brothers got caught up in this. All these big financial firms that were around for a long time, and the public trusted as like basically they were Wall Street. Bear
Sure.
Stearns was one of the top ones, and they tanked because of what they did, the fraud, the lying. They went out of business, and so he apparently worked for them as an options trader in 1976, and then in 1980, he became a partner. How do you, in 4 years, go from being an options trader to a
To a
partner
partner.
of the business of one of the biggest equity firms at that time, hedge funds or whatever?
Seriously.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So
It's
clearly
almost unheard of. Stuff like that doesn't happen. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so clearly something was going on there, right? Clearly either this
Definitely.
guy knew somebody or somebody, or maybe he was doing this back then. Maybe he was, getting the top executives at Bear Stearns to do inappropriate things with young people and then blackmail them to make him a partner. Who knows,
Well,
right?
that's a lot of stuff I was reading actually says that exact thing. It says that because he was super, super, super intelligent and he had such charisma about him that he could he could he could kind of get over on these people and manipulate them into doing bad things. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there about Jeffrey Epstein. He was not a stupid man. He was not a stupid man. He was a very intelligent motherfucker.
And I think that's why there's apparently he had a really good relationship with Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton, it's also been described that way, where even Republicans who know him and meet him say, you know, he's definitely creepy. There's something like, really creepy and wicked there. But at the same time, he's one of the most charismatic people. People
Yep.
love him. He has a great personality. He could talk with anybody about
Yep.
anything. He's smart. He's likable. It's why he won the presidency twice. And, he is a guy who just really, built his career getting out there and meeting the people and shaking hands and, that whole thing. But he's apparently tied to all this stuff. So it seems like that's probably why, like, they got along. With some people think like, "Oh, why does, Jeffrey Epstein have a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress in his, house on the island," or whatever it was, or that might have been in his Manhattan, house. But, I think they might have got along as friends because they're both very similar people. They're
Yep.
intelligent, charismatic, but, like, wickedly evil.
No, 100%. Totally, totally, totally devilish.
Yeah. So the next part is in 1982, Epstein founded his own financial management firm, J. Epstein and Co., managing the assets of clients with more than $1 billion in net worth. So again, he goes from that to now having clients who are billionaires back in the 90s, I mean, 80s rather, which is even like crazier because back then there was not that many billionaires like there are
No, there
today.
wasn't.
But all of a sudden, this guy is like comes out of nowhere and he's got billionaire clients in the 80s. And then in 1996, Epstein changed the name of his firm to the Financial Trust Company. He based it on the island of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Um, and then he merged into Southern Financial LLC. All of his clients were anonymous except for the very wealthy businessman Leslie Wexner. So this is Les Wexner is a famous media, personality. Um, yeah, he was one of the people that was recently released in the, new release that unredacted, some of the redacted stuff where there was like 5 or 6 big mega billionaires that were originally redacted in the files and then re-released as unredacted to now people can see who they were. And so you
Sure.
have big people like this who were his clients and stuff. So what do you think about, stuff like that coming out where they're actually starting to finally release to the public some of the real names of people involved with Epstein?
I think there's, yeah, like I said, I think there's more to come. You know,
Me too.
there's
Me
going to be
too.
more big names to come, and I think people are going to be very surprised.
Me too. What do you think else is out there? Like, what's some of your, you know, guesses as to, who else might have been involved,
Phew.
stuff like that?
I think a lot more people are involved, especially big name billionaire people than we realize, or than the public realizes. I think a lot of that's going to come out. Anyone specific, I can't name, but I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just like, holy shit, really? Them? Holy shit, really? Him? Holy shit, really? That?
Now we've already seen, um, businessmen, and we've already seen some of the Hollywood people. Do you think other types of people are on there? Do you think, sports figures? You know,
Sure. I think that, yeah, I do. I do. I believe there could be some sports figures on there, especially I'm thinking more, and I don't know why. It's just a thought in my head that a lot of basketball players, I feel like,
yeah, yeah, me too, actually. Basketball and
yeah,
football.
and it's like I'm not trying to generalize a sport, but like I don't know. I just feel like that's there's gonna a lot's gonna come out. I do. I
Yeah,
think a lot of sports
I'm thinking
names,
basketball and
actors,
football too.
actresses, stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. I'm thinking basketball and football, probably not as much baseball and hockey, maybe 1 or 2 here and there, but probably mostly basketball, football, but, yeah, I'm thinking this encompasses, like, a lot of different people. You know what this is like? It's it's for the American people. I'm gonna give a really weird, like, analogy as to, what this is like.
Sure.
It kind of feels like you're in high school and you're you and a few of your friends are not like nerds, but you're not like part of the cool crowd of like the super cool kids, the most popular people, like the quarterback of the football team, the head cheerleader, and all that stuff. You're like this in between where you get along with people, you get along with them, you're friends with them, but you never get to like invited to the inner parties, right? And you're
Sure.
always wondering, like, why am I not getting into that group? Like, why? Like, I'm friends with them. I'm friends with the other kids too, the band kids and these other, kids that are into like math and stuff. I get along with everybody. How come I'm not like in that next level where I'm actually going to the parties with the most
Yep.
popular kids in school? And then like 6 months later, all of a sudden news comes out that like that whole group of people was involved in, like, this weird sex swinging party,
Yep.
and, all the, like, the top people, the head the basketball, what am I saying? The, quarterback of the football team, the head of basketball team, the baseball team, all of, like, the major, you know people that are usually the most popular in high school and stuff, and then, like, same thing with the girls and all this stuff, and then you have, like, 1 or 2 teachers in there, and then maybe,
Yep.
like, a parent from one of the kids in there, and you find out all this, like, crazy stuff was going on where, like, there's, like, these swinging parties and stuff, and you weren't invited because these people are doing really crazy, weird stuff, and you're like, not they knew that you were not that type of person, so they just didn't let
Sure.
you in. It almost feels like that, like where you have all these people that like the average person who goes to work every day, works a regular job, blue collar, white collar, whatever, finds out like all these people that are well known. They're on TV, they're famous, or they're in movies, or they're well known business people who just have these massive companies that they all looked at as like, hey, they're a role model to me because I'm in that industry or whatever. And you find out they're like involved in all this stuff. It's crazy. It's like you're like almost thank God I was never part of that
Oh,
because
thank God I
look at
wasn't
what the hell
invited
they're
into the
going.
club.
Yeah, like not thank God I never got invited to the parties, because look what the hell
Exactly.
they got going on. And now like all their reputations are ruined. They got kicked out of the college that they were about to go to, like all this crazy stuff. It's like that's what it kind of feels like. Kind of feels like
Yeah.
this weird thing where the American people like, you know, everybody always wanted fame and fortune and success. And then you see the people who have that and half of them are involved in this thing, and half of them
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, like, look at what happened to Hollywood through this whole Epstein file thing.
and look at how many people growing up back in the day, like, one of the top things people wanted to be was a famous actor or a movie star
Yep,
or something, yeah, and now you look at these people, you almost, like, w want the opposite of that. Like, there are people
exactly.
now
Like,
moving back
what
to
creepy
farmland.
world were they living in, you know? Like, I don't know. One of the biggest names on there that makes me the sickest is, like, Tom Hanks and shit. It's like, "Oh my god, man, I grew up watching this man's movies." I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Yeah, what's that like, from your end, like, growing up, idolizing certain people, which we're not supposed to do anyway, but, as young people, you tend to.
Sure.
And then you
When
get
you're a young
older,
guy and, you see this stuff, you're like, "Oh, man, I wanna be that," "Oh my god, I wanna be that guy, I wanna be that guy," and it's just like, "Whoa, man.
like,
What the fuck?"
you were a Yankee fan growing up. What would you do if you found out when more of these files are released that, like, your favorite year, let's say, like, '96 Yankees, the entire team was involved in all this stuff? What would that
Oof.
do to your childhood?
Oh, it would totally upside down every part of it. Everything that I know and knew I would be questioning. I'd be
I
like,
just
"Who
said
else?
'98, right? That's
What
when they won
else?"
the series?
Yeah,
98?
not well, 96, 98,
Yeah.
99, 2000. Oh, hell yeah, man. But the 98 Yanks, they were the best, the
Yes, like,
unstoppable
imagine,
team.
like, how would that crush your childhood where
Totally.
your favorite team from your childhood and a year where they, like, had an A team and they won the, World Series and all this stuff, and then you go and see, like, oh, actually, all these years later, they were involved in all this stuff even back then when they were playing in '98.
Yeah.
They were actually after the game, they're going to these crazy
I was
weird
just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that.
yeah,
After the game, after they won the World Series, they hopped on a plane and went to Epstein's Island.
yeah.
It would
Well,
devastate me, honestly. I would be like, "What the fuck?"
and I think that's what happening to a lot of people is they're getting so mad about this because and they wanna know everything, that they're even creating conspiracies that aren't even there, just
Oh,
because I think
definitely.
they're so hurt by how, like, they idolize these people growing up, and then they find out all this stuff, and it makes them so mad because it's like they were lied to their whole childhood or whatever.
True. But also going back to the point where you're saying is like you really shouldn't idolize these people.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
100%, yep.
So like knowing what I know now and doing what I've been doing for a big part of my life, I wouldn't be surprised by any of it. I know we're having a hypothetical conversation, like what it would do to me and this and that, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if I found out anybody was on that list. I think the only person in this world that would totally devastate my world would be Adam Sandler.
I know, right? Yeah. No, I think you're right about
I
that, yeah,
just
yeah.
don't think I would recover from that. I don't.
And you know why? Because there's some people that you always kinda see them as, like, they're in Hollywood, but they always try to stay out of it, you know?
And that's him.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you there. Um, yeah, it's just it's a crazy time. I think that they did a horrible job with this, and,
Totally.
this is either going to be something that eventually, we get the information we were looking for. People who are guilty get charged. The American people can accept it and then move on, and then, things can get better. Or this is going to be the beginning of the end of Trump's legacy.
Well, and then again, how is it going to affect the 2028 elections too? Like, can it potentially affect the 2028 elections? Are people going to be like, okay, now we can't trust the Republicans, we can't trust Trump's administration, we can't elect another Republican, we can't elect another right wing person. You know what I mean? Who knows the repercussions of what they did with this particular situation?
Absolutely. Um, so we're gonna do something fun now, like I mentioned earlier. So just for the people at home, um, this is the U.S. Department of Justice website. It's justice.gov, and slash Epstein brings you to all the Epstein files. So you can actually go through all the files, or you can actually just search for keywords in the files. So you scroll down a little bit, you could search anything you want, you type it in, but put it in quotations because it'll actually find it specifically. So, like, if you just say, like, somebody's name, Anthony Volpe, it'll find anything in there that has the name
Jesus Christ.
Anthony and that has the name.
And for the record, my name is not in that list, just
And
saying.
you know what? I'll prove it right now. Just
Yeah, prove it.
'cause, when you put it in quotations, it'll find the exact match for the full name. So we'll search that right now, and it literally says,
Flush
"No
it.
results found."
Damn right. My name is clear,
You're
just for
clear.
everybody.
You're clear, and so is Anthony Volpe from the Yankees. So what we're gonna do now is, we're gonna you give me, like, 2 or 3, but one at a time, names you want me to search to see if there's any files in there about this person, and we'll search it.
Obama.
And so people at home, you could do this too. All right, so now let's do this one. The first one popped up, and it gives you a little preview. So before you click on the file, you could actually see the preview. It says Obama replied in a tone of undistinguished sarcasm. So did Obama. She asked Obama. So it's like basically just a conversation that he had with somebody. So we'll click on the file
Okay.
now. Takes you to the PDF. This one happens to be like 21 pages, so we're not gonna go through all of it, but it's a I guess an email from the office of Rod Larson back in 2014. And so it has his name somewhere in the file. So you could literally just do Command F and do it again. And you could actually search for anywhere it says his name. So it comes up 43 times just in this one file alone.
Unbelievable.
And so you could just go through and see, like, so it says U.S. Egyptian cooperation. So in 2014, unlike the apparent tendency last year to believe that the U.S. was turning towards Asia out of fatigue from the Middle East intricacies and President Barack Obama's desperate desire to carve his legacy, it seems that the U.S. is here to stay. All right. So it's just something about, I guess, U.S. Egypt.
But again, his name was mentioned, but it doesn't necessarily, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's just an example. That's one file. So you could actually just go back and go back to where you searched, do it again, and pull up another file. Just click on a random one.
Yep.
Now this is an email, so this is a little bit better. Let's go in a little bit. You can see that, right?
Yes, I can.
And so this is why does it say JE jail? That's weird. That's a weird thing. So this is Jeffrey
Obama's
Epstein.
stand-up routine.
Yeah, this is Jeffrey Epstein's um email is jeevacation@gmail.com. That's his actual email address.
It's just
Um,
JE. That's a creepy email, by the
you
way.
know. So Obama stand-up routine. I wonder what the hell that is. Let's see if we click on it. What does it take us to? Ah, okay, we can't go to it. All right, so give me another one.
Bill Clinton.
And by the way, it tells you here how many times somebody shows up. So when you search Obama, specifically Obama, his name shows up. Um,
2000.
2,457 results, exactly.
Wow.
So now that doesn't mean that he's in the files as guilty, it just means that his
Oh,
name showed up
absolutely.
in 2,457 files.
That's insane.
That's
That
a
is
lot.
insane, man. That's
So
an unfathomable amount of freaking files, man.
well, that means if you looked at least just those 2,457, you'd find all the instances where Obama was mentioned, and you could see, like, is there anything in here that says that he was involved or, did he know whatever it is, so give me another one.
Exactly. Let's go with hmm.
Oh, and so to go back to before Joe Rogan, I did that just because I wanted to illustrate a point that not everybody who's in the files is guilty, but he shows up in here a couple times. So he's in maybe like a dozen times. And it's mostly just that same email that we read, just different files for some reason. But
How
nothing
about
that
the
I
Clintons?
yeah, so we wanna do Bill Clinton?
Just putting the Clinton, maybe just even just in the last name.
Alright, let's do Clinton, and let's see how many. That would probably encompass Hillary too. So you have 3226 times, so it's even more than Obama. Oh, no, wait, it was,
Yep.
yeah, more than Obama. He was 2,400.
Yeah, he was at 2456 or something.
Yeah. So check that out. So now we'll do one of these. Let's see what this is. That took a little while to load. Crack hole proposal. The heck is that? All right, so this looks like an actual government
Oh, it's
document.
weird. It looks like
C.
they used to
San
like put stuff
Mercy.
together in the 80s to like try and
Oh,
huh,
that's creepy. What is this? It's like pictures of people.
I don't know, man. I've been seeing a lot of creepy pictures that they dropped lately too, man. It's just like disturbing.
Oh, this is like a file with images that they took. and just put it all together like a collage thing for a document for some reason. Look, even the pictures
Hmm,
are redacted inside the picture.
I know.
People's faces are redacted. That's pretty crazy. There's still a lot of redacting. Yeah. All right, so their name shows up in here. Let's search their name and see where it shows up, what it says. All right, so it says right here, Clinton tips, New York, LA. Oh, so people, this is people giving tips to the government, to the FBI, I guess. And I'm not sure if it's Clinton gave the tips or if somebody gave tips about Clinton and sent these pictures in, but this is what we've got here, a bunch of pictures. That's interesting. I mean, they're still what the hell is this?
I know, dude. Like, what the
Oh, that's creepy.
weird.
All right, so we don't need to just look at a bunch of pictures, but let's click on one
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I was just gonna say, I'm all set with all that. Looking
Again,
at creepy pictures of the
yes.
Clintons.
These are like scans of the actual file folders. Like, that's funny, man. Some of the stuff goes back.
I guess
Item was not scanned. That's interesting. Oh, look at this. It's a scan of a freaking CD. Clinton, Africa.
2002.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, I don't know what that pertains to, but I think it rings a bell that I think the Clinton Foundation was responsible for like some of the vaccine inoculations that was done in Africa. So this might have something to do with that. I'm not totally sure, but all right, it looks like just a scan of a bunch of CDs about Clinton and Africa. All right, give me another one.
Who else we gonna bring into this?
Want to do Tom Hanks? Want to do Tom Hanks?
Yeah, put Tom Hanks' name in there. Let's see what the hell comes up.
He shows up 41 times. Okay. Well, and then also too, like he's a famous movie star. Yeah, it could have been a chance that somebody who just mentioned his name because they saw Toy Story or something, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Oh
Tom
my God,
Hanks.
Woody. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, right. Woody's in here and Buzz.
And
Tom Hanks.
Buzz to infinity and beyond. No, I'm just joking. That's horrible. Jesus.
Tom Hanks on Broadway in Lucky Guy. Don't miss this limited engagement. Okay, so I don't know why Jeffrey Epstein's sending an email about that, but it could have just been like a forward thing. Like, you know, sometimes you get like a promotion, you know, whatever, the spam or whatever, and then you
Yeah,
just
oh yeah,
forward
I
to
get a
somebody.
lot of that crap.
All right, so this is about some play he's in on Broadway. We don't need to see that. We get it. Let's see what this one is. Saving Mr. Banks invite. Okay, so this was an invite to one of Tom Hanks's movies. Okay, so this
Hmm.
guy John Lee Hancock invites you and a guest to join. Okay, so um, I guess this was an invite to that movie, Saving Mr. Banks, that Tom Hanks was in. So I don't think this
No,
has
that was
anything
one
to
I've
do
never
with him.
seen.
Okay, that's interesting. And so it's just basically invitation from a friend of his to go see that premiere. All right, give me another name.
J.P. Morgan. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. Like, who?
Give me somebody you would hate to see in them.
Well, we already went over Joe Rogan. I don't really have idols and shit like that, so it's like I
Oh, you
don't look
said
up to
Adam
these
Sandler.
people
Let's
like
check
crazy.
Adam Sandler.
All right, yeah, yeah, Adam Sandler. Okay, there you go. 0 times. Come on, Adam.
55 times.
Oh God, Jesus.
But now let's see because, you know, he might not have, you know, let's zoom in a little bit. Again, it might have just been tickets to a movie of his or something.
Yeah,
Giving
maybe a
someone
basketball game even.
giving someone the finger is one of the basest violations in modern culture, but its origins date back over 2,500 years, the first written record. So what the hell is this about? Like, if what does that have to do with Adam Sandler? All right, I think that might have been, oh, here we go. First written record, where the playwright, Aristophanes, the Adam Sandler of his day. Oh, okay, so he literally just said the name Adam Sandler, and it
And it
ended up
popped
in a
up.
file.
That is
It's
so
pretty
funny, man.
that gives credit though to this search feature that it actually pulls up literally any time that the name was used as, you know, in reference.
Well, if you use anybody's name, I guess it's a good way for people to go and look up Um, hit Dan Bongino. Try Bongino. See if he pops up in there.
Okay, let me do that next. Let me
He's
just see
he's
what this
he's
is.
another one I like, man. I'm a big fan of Dan Bongino. So
Yeah, it's the same. See, this is the same file that we just read over and over in multiple different files. So even when it shows up 55 times, it doesn't mean
you know
it's
what?
55 different instances.
I got one. I got one. Charlie Kirk.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Let's see if he pops up in there. Rest in peace, Charlie. By the way.
Yep, he does. All right, so let's see. All right, unclassified for official use only. I guess that means us too. So it's still redacted. Okay, so this is what it says. Oh, okay. So look at this. So this is from September 17th, 2025. Okay, so this was,
A month before it was killed.
yeah, so check this out. Members questioned him on a variety of topics, including the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Okay, so this is Director Patel. Okay, so this is about Cash Patel being questioned about Charlie Kirk's murder, which, by the way, this was September 17th. Jeffrey Epstein was already dead by this point.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Well, they say he's dead. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
who
So this
knows if
is,
he's really dead?
and look, this whole thing is redacted. I bet, look at this. See,
The whole thing.
this is funny. This is a good one actually that you found. Um, this is FBI Office of Public Affairs, and it's Wednesday, September 17th, talking about the testimony of Director Cash Patel and him being questioned about the murder of Charlie Kirk, and the entire thing is redacted.
That is weird, huh? That is
Yeah, but
very strange.
think about that. Like, oh, it's that guy that what was it, that young kid, and then apparently, there must be something more because the whole thing's redacted. This is just news. All right.
That is
Well, I think we got the point. So for people again, if they want to see it at home, this one right here is U.S. Department of Justice website, justice.gov/Epstein, and then you just scroll down to the search feature, search full Epstein library, and you can actually search the any documents you want. That or if you're looking for a specific name or something, put that name in quotations, and you'll be able to find it in any of the files. So I want to close with just a couple of key
very cool, man.
points that I had. That was good. I think this was a little bit of a different approach. Hopefully, maybe not that many people on the internet that are doing the
I
Jeffrey
liked it.
Epstein stuff are doing this. So hopefully we did a little something different. But I want to talk about a couple things. So
Well, it gives people the opportunity to go on that website and look for themselves too, man, which is pretty cool.
yeah, exactly. So all right. So couple things here. Number one, I think that yeah, Trump, his team, they messed this up. They shouldn't have done it this way. But it also goes to show the times, like, when things are meant to be, they'll be, the old adage goes.
Sure.
And it's possible that our generation is not ready for something like this. I think I've said this in the past on a podcast before with you, where it's almost like the people they've gone beyond hey, we want the truth to they're like bloodthirsty for anybody that's involved in this to go crashing down. Even if your name, like we said, just shows up like Joe Rogan's, they want everybody exposed and you go crashing down and you burn and it's like almost like this thing of like you're pointing fingers at anybody who's involved in this. Like even they did it recently with Harry Ludnick, who's part of Trump's cabinet. How he lied about him being involved with Epstein, but again, I think he
Sure.
might have just been a client of his, not a kid client, a monetary client where he maybe had funds with him and stuff.
Sure.
But even if it
Did
was
some
something.
investing or something.
Yeah, like even if whatever, clearly he had an investment fund because he managed billionaires' money.
Sure.
But he also could have been doing this, which he was obviously the child thing on the side. That could have been separate from his financial customers. It could have been he used that to get in the door with people to trap people with the sex thing, the child and the
Oh yeah.
bribery. But he also could have had legitimate money customers that were investing in his business and they had nothing to do with the child stuff. So I just think like there's so many people that are just bloodthirsty for everybody to go down and crash and burn. And it's like the Bible says you're supposed to pray for your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. You don't hate, don't, be angry, but sin not. Like, don't go looking for vengeance. Don't go looking for, you know, we want those people to burn in hell. You know, that's up to God. It's up to
That
him
is
to judge them and to give them the proper punishment that fits the crime that they committed, right? I think there's so many people that are just not ready for this because they are so bloodthirsty, but they're also hypocrites because they're pointing fingers from a glass house. You know, how many of these people, how many of these people that are wanting these people that are involved in the Jeffrey Epstein stuff to go down, watch pornography, and
yep,
watch pornography where it's, you know, a woman who probably got sucked into that industry when she was
yep,
underage and might have even made some videos when she was underage. And they might have come across those videos watching a person who's underage that they literally didn't know. They thought she was older.
yep.
So if you're guilty of that stuff, what makes you so righteous in pointing the finger at these people involved in Epstein, right?
100% agree with that, man.
What's your take on all that?
Man, a lot of double standard going on.
Yeah, and
You know,
hypocrisy, yeah, yeah,
who are you? Do you live a perfect life? You know what
right,
I mean? Are you this? Are you the? No one lives a perfect life. You know what I mean? And are you God? No. So then shut your mouth and just wait for it all to happen. That's my take on it. No one's perfect.
yeah, yeah, and that's really what I'm saying is I think that, there's a righteous way to go about this, and there's an unrighteous way to go about it. The righteous way is the way that we're supposed to, which is you see people doing evil, you point it out, you make sure that justice is served to them, but you don't wish ill on them. You don't
No.
hate them, you don't hope they go to hell, you hope that you pray for them. And
Hmm.
say, you know, we're sad to see another human being, which is also a child of God, commit these atrocities. We pray that, you know, God has mercy on their soul, but they have to go down for this. But
And
we
they're the
don't,
ones that have to answer for that. You
yeah.
know.
Oh, excuse me. But we don't wish ill on them. We let God judge them the way that He sees fit, and then we punish them on in this life with the legal system. But that's it. It shouldn't go further than that. If you're
I
wishing
agree.
for these people to, you know, have bad on them, or you want to see them so desperately be, you know, horrible things happen to them, that's evil in itself.
Well, I was just gonna say, I don't think those people have proper grounding in life. I don't think they have a proper direction in life. You know what I mean? They don't look up to a higher power. They don't have a God in their life. You know what I mean?
Right?
Because if they did, they wouldn't be saying and acting like that, you know?
Well, so now think about this. So if that's true, what makes you the moral authority that what these people are doing is wrong if you don't have God and through the Bible to tell you what's morally right and wrong?
It's very true.
Exactly.
Really, what gives you the right? Just because you watch all these videos on the internet and you sit there and doom scroll all day long and you think you're better than everybody and you're smarter than everybody, which you're really not, you know? It's and who are you? That's my question.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
What
true.
do you represent?
That's a good point too, 'cause I actually think social media is one of the biggest plagues on this world today. I think it literally can curse.
1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 1,000,000,000,000% it is.
Yeah. People get sucked in. And if you see sometimes, I don't know if you've ever seen this, like people like when they get really caught up in all these conspiracies and like they get really into like social media, it's all they talk about. They're obsessed. They can't even have a conversation in public with people without bringing up something that they saw online as
Oh,
like
it's funny too.
they don't have a life. Their life
No.
is watching other people on the internet.
And then if they get really super interested in something and they'll just keep talking about it and then their algorithm just changes to that one particular thing.
Yeah.
What happened to the days of like conspiracy guys like you and me when we were coming up? We always thought outside the box, right?
Mhm.
But we would actually have to go do research on it. We wouldn't just sit there and scroll and watch a 30-second video and be like, "Oh God, no, no." We'd have, you know what I mean? We had to put the time in, you know, read, research, get documents, stuff like that, you know?
But yeah, so I just think, you know, some of the American people are not ready for this.
No,
We
most
gotta
people
handle
aren't, I
this.
don't think.
Yeah, we gotta handle this in a righteous way, and people gotta get out of this. People have to get out of this mindset of wanting like justice so bad that they want people to like suffer and be punished to the most extreme, even though they've got all skeletons in their closet. They've got all kinds of sin that they got going on. but they're
Yep.
judging somebody else who's guilty. Now, don't get me wrong, these people are guilty, then they need to go to jail, and if they're doing
100%.
stuff with kids, they need the maximum penalty, which could be the death penalty, and I'm okay with that if they're guilty, if they're actually guilty. But if you're wishing for that, that's a problem. That's on you. You should not wish for that. You should pray for mercy for them, but then let the justice system be served regardless.
100%.
All right, everybody, I just want to take a moment to promote my children's book. This is Little Boy Full of Love. That's me on the back. And this is a little sneak peek on the inside. It's a great book. It's a children's book. I actually wrote this for my son, and it's available right now on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, Bookshop.org, and a lot of other online platforms. But more importantly to me, it's actually available in a lot of bookstores throughout the country. You can find out which ones are closest to you on my Instagram page. You know, we highly recommend that you shop local, buy from a local bookstore. So if you are looking to, get a children's book for you or anybody you know, or even with the holidays coming up, it's a great time to, buy a children's book as a gift. Definitely get it from a bookstore that's local to you. But if you absolutely can't get it from one of the bookstores that are currently carrying it right now, and we're in about 15 or 16 different states across the country, so it may actually be in your state, and it could even be local to you. But if you can't get it from the physical bookstore, check out our Amazon storefront. The book's available on there right now. And like I said, with the holidays coming up, you may want to do your Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday shopping early, and you can even order it from our Amazon storefront and ship it directly to whoever you're gifting it to. But it's available on those platforms, Amazon storefront and bookstores and other websites that I mentioned. But I want to take a moment here to look at the storefront just to give you an idea of some other stuff that we have available on there. These are products that we highly recommend. They are things that we use in our daily lives, and it's all organized by category. So it's a lot easier to, shop for the holidays and specifically for things that interest you, particular categories. Available right now, many different items on our storefront. If you can see here, 61 items just in women's apparel, fall decor, because right now we're in fall, 26 items, kitchen items, baking specifically, things for around the house, children's toys, even stuff for parties. If you're trying to save money on a party and throwing your own, occasion, you can even buy some cool gadgets here to help you, put on a better party. Health and wellness items here, even stuff for Christmas. And there's the book right there. So you can get it from the storefront. You can get it from the bookstores, like I mentioned. But it's available on all these different platforms. It's really easy to find and gift to somebody. Also, I want to show you the apparel shop, and these are some clothing items that we actually produced. So if you're looking to get some cool apparel items, shirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, leggings, even accessories, cell phone cases, women's makeup bags, fanny packs, coffee mugs, all different types of stuff, even some, art, all different categories here, apparel, homeware, accessories, drinks, even digital items. It's all on this store, healthybodygoodssoul.com. Anything that pertains to you or somebody that you're looking to get a gift for the holidays. A lot of great designs on here, a lot of cool designs that we actually custom created. Stainless steel water bottles, especially now with the fall and winter. A lot of cool hoodies and long sleeve shirts. This is a really cool one, I think, for women. The original Be Your Soul apparel, that one's actually really popular. People tend to like that. This one's one of my favorites. The Free shirt. It's the American flag, and it says free, and that says not property of the United States government. That one's pretty cool. Got all different types of tank tops, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeve, tote bags, coffee mugs, even some items for kids. backpacks. So if you're the type that likes to, plan ahead, I would definitely recommend ordering from the Amazon storefront or the apparel shop within the next couple of weeks to get everything in time for the holidays. Use code SAVE15 on the apparel shop to save 15% off everything on the storefront. So order within the next week or two, and you'll definitely have everything in time for the holidays. Definitely check out all the links to everything, the Amazon storefront, the book, and the apparel shop in my bio on all my platforms: Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. But you can also find them in all the show notes for every episode that I post, and get all your orders in time for the holidays. All right, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps the channel continue to grow. And put in the comments things that you would like me to talk about and make videos on for the future, and I will definitely do my best to do that. Stay tuned for the next one.